Hey guys, good morning. So as I understand it, Michael Brooks did not have children. And, I hadn't really thought about it before, but it would have been nice if he did. Turn that down a little bit. It would have been nice if he did. It would have been nice to, see if his kid grows into, somewhat of what he was, carry on his dream, keep his dream alive. But, I want to talk about, I don't know, maybe this just snuck up on him, I don't know. I want to talk about why I have not had kids, why I don't see having kids in the future. When you dig into the state of the world today, climate change, and you read this stuff, and Michael was like 10 times as deep as I will probably ever be. When you do that, it's kind of hopeless. Like, one thing about his show was he looked at world politics, he looked at the history of American politics, and he, to see hope, to where, maybe a lot of us are hopeless. Bringing it together is education. But when you look at the world and you see like America is so far backwards socially, and in regards to the health of their citizens and climate change and all that, which is an effect on human health, obviously, human betterment, because as he said it, when your lungs are choked and your cities are flooded, it affects human life. When you look at how far back America is, and you look at how a lot of other countries, China, and we talk shit about them, and how a lot of them own homes, how they have social health care, what do you want to call it, universal health care and all that. And then, now, look at the DNC, how they basically are refusing to even give a regard for what their own voters want, their own base really wants. It's hard to have hope, and so if you're smart, he's way smarter than I'll ever be. Why would you want to bring kids into this? Why would you want to introduce a child into this hellhole that's only getting worse? I mean, I don't know about y'all, me working out here, I just realized I'm working with people who, they don't have the conceptual notion of society. And they just think that if something happens, you're not going to make me take preparations. I'm just going to wash my hands and that's it. It's like we're going to ignore science. Like, we don't care, and that we're going to heaven, and all the blacks and all the gays, they're all communists, they're going to hell. Like, I just realized that, and I didn't know it before. Like, they're not on board. Period. Yeah, they are not on board with us. And I realized that this is a sneak peek at climate change, sneak peek at future emergencies, that you got a good portion of America, in the South especially, that hates science and that hates progress, and that just anything you say, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Like, that's what Michael understood. The PR firms and how they function, and making a mockery of the egg-headed liberal, the effeminate liberal. That is what we're dealing with. That's what you're looking at, and that's a problem. I don't have an answer for that. I don't want to go out here, because if you use force, that's what rednecks want. Rednecks really, white people are looking for aggrievement. They're looking for aggrievement, and if you use force, you're giving them that, because they're going to twist it. That's what the right does. I said, if you support homosexuality, homosexual marriage, and hate crime laws for them, then you support pedophilia. If you're a socialist, you're a communist. If you want to defund police and put money towards the community, you want to abolish police because you're a criminal. Like, this is what they do now, and I realized this was always going to happen. They were going to just twist whatever, even if you use federal forces for a good reason, they'll just twist it, and you might get violence. So, in the background of everything I just said to you, it's kind of like, why have children? I mean, Michael was a white man. He was a white man, and obviously the white community is more conducive to these kind of conversations. I remember when I was growing up and having these conversations with black people about fluoride and stuff in the food and the water, and black people get really angry at me about it, like, you're messing with our food, and I understand it, because that's being uneducated. That's what being uneducated is about. And so the person that brings up information is the bad guy. Like, remember the movie Precious, where the girl got molested by her mom's boyfriend, and it was, when the mom's like, you're taking him away from me. How can a little girl take a grown man away from a woman? Like, we're not talking about a pedophile. We're talking about a dude who's raping your daughter. And you know what I mean? Like, you brought him into the house. She didn't go out here and get him. He can't, right? So how can she? That doesn't make sense. Like, when you say he's taking my man, well, that would mean the other woman has a house, an apartment, a car, a job. A girl cannot take a grown man, right? And it's the same mindset with people, that I dealt with, of me speaking about pollutants in the food and the water. Oh, well, somehow I am advocating that, or I mean, you're dealing with some really ignorant people. And I would say for the white community, that's kind of why I got into InfoWars bullshit back in the day, because white folks, to a certain extent, got that. Like, you don't drink tap water. Okay, you don't do certain things because they're bad for God. White folks kind of got that understanding of it, whereas black people are like, no, I'm just gonna, I'm talking about people in the urban, in the cities. They're buying cars, and for black people, it's buying into a culture that was given to them. Yeah. Whereas like a white man might have a raggedy tow-up truck, but he owns that bitch. Whereas a black man is, I'm gonna go out and get a Mercedes that I can barely keep gas in. I can barely keep gas in. I can barely keep up payments. You see what I'm saying? That's a culture of irresponsibility with the black community that I dealt with. I can't speak for nobody else but myself. And I just say I understand Michael Brook. If he thought that way, I don't know. Maybe he had a girlfriend. Maybe he was like, no, I'm busy with my job. But if he was like me, it was a concerted effort that I'm not gonna have kids. I mean, hey, maybe things could change. Maybe, they will do something about climate change. I mean, I look at America as a warmongering force upon the world that, listen, to deal with climate change, we have to have a universal understanding that this is a threat. That's A. B, we've got to refrain from threatening other world leaders if we are to do anything about this. That's got to be a basic thing. C, we can't have world leaders running around making a mockery of climate science. Okay? Those three things are basic things you need if you want to deal with global climate change. That's not happening. We may have a war. If Trump gets reelected, we may have a world war. I mean, China and Russia moving away from using the dollar, I celebrate that. I mean, because I understand that America is they are a threat against world peace right now. That's a fact. They are a threat to world peace. And so that being the case, as well as the fact that they're not conducive to reality, not conducive to facts They just violating international law willy-nilly. The only thing that will prevent war, world war, America getting involved in another quagmire, another sandbox, another Iraq, is, the dollar not being a world currency, things like that happening. Peace.